Hey everyone, let's get started with another weekly video game finds video. Before we get to the stuff that I picked up at the flea market that I told you about last video, there's 4 NES games that came in. Low G-Man, Gauntlet 2, Super Mario Bros. 3 and Nintendo World Cup. Then for the flea market stuff, I'm gonna show you a set of small box PC games because I found those a lot at the flea market. You could say the average price I paid for these is about €1. Sometimes less, sometimes a little more, but €1 is about average. 2142 Battlefield, Far Cry, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Rome Total War and Rome Total War Barbarian Invasion, Diablo 1, No One Lives Forever, Part 1 I believe, the operative, because Part 2 is called... I can't think of it right now. Yeah, I'll come up with it. Carmageddon, The Death Race 2000, Age of Mythologies, Doom 3, Empire Earth. This is Desperados 2, Outcast, American Conquest, Cossacks Part 2, Red Alert Part 2, Anno 1503, Praetorians. This is Children of the Nile, Immortal Cities, and the last one is Cossacks Back to War. Super Street Fighter 2 Big Box for the PC. Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64 complete in box. Pokemon Ruby complete in box. These all came from a flea market, by the way. I mentioned that before, haven't I? This one I had never seen before. The Ripping Friends, the world's most manly men. Yeah, I just had to pick that up because of that title. It reminds me of, yeah, sort of Cartoon Network drawing style. Not sure if it's from Cartoon Network, because I've never seen it before. How do you call that series with the Crimson Chin? That the guy with his... Yeah, I was too old at that time for those cartoons. I'm from the Ren and Stimpy time, and the Batman, and the Amazing Spider-Man, etc. But, yeah, I just picked that up for €3, and I thought, well, it could be rare. Then we have this Turbo 5000 for the MSX1 and MSX2. It's a cartridge that boosts the performance of your MSX, if I understand it correctly. It's a utility cartridge which has hard copy, turbo load, backup. This is not what I paid, by the way. Call system, has a lot of stuff. If I find MSX games and they're cartridge based, I always pick them up because those can be really rare. And then we have the Medal of Honor Allied Assault War Chest. And Medal of Honor Allied Assault is one of the games I probably spent most hours in during my childhood or puberty. It was around 16, I think. I played this online so much. That wasn't called a guild, it was called a clan in that game. Guilds are from MMOs. My clan was really good. I think we were top of Europe. So from the flea market again, there was this guy. I've seen him a lot of times, and he has some stock in old games. He doesn't have a lot of interesting stuff, but the thing is, my stock in NES games is running kind of low, and these are all commons. But I got them at a good price, and they're nice to build up some stock again. So Jack Nicklaus Golfing, Smurfs, Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf, Gremlins, Ferrari Grand Prix Challenge, Barbie, Track and Field, Kick Off, Blades of Steel, WWF King of the Ring, World Cup, Goal, Hyper Soccer, Quantum Fighter, Kabuki Quantum Fighter, 2 copies of Gremlins, which is an okay platformer in my opinion. If you've never played it, try it out, because for, yeah, €5 you can have a decent copy, and even cheaper probably, and it's really not a bad game. Defender of the Crown, WrestleMania, Stealth ATF, Blades of Steel, World Cup, Super Mario Bros. 3, Fighting Golf again, Double Dragon 3, Krusty's Funhouse, and the Gremlins Part 2, number 4 in this lot. Last few items from the flea market, and these are Sega Mega Drive and Genesis games. Cliffhanger, which is uncommon. Bomber Raid for the MOS system, which is quite uncommon as well. And then I don't know if this game is uncommon, but just check this out. Dinosaurs for Hire. It has a buffed up dinosaur with a Tommy gun on the front, and On the back it says Dino Dudes with Major Attitudes. I've hardly ever seen anything so 90s as this game that I just had to buy it. Could be the most common shitty title in the world, could be rare as hell, I don't know, but for a couple of euros I picked it up just because this looks so damn 90s. Awesome. Mercs. Strider, one of the coolest and one of the hardest Mega Drive games. Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension, which has some really nice Chupa Chup product placement. Not sure if they show this on the back. No, they don't. Or was it the second Zool game? I think it was this one. I played this on PC and it was filled to the brim with Chupa Chups, lollies, etc. Lollipops. Then for the PlayStation 2, Dragon Ball Z, Budokai 3, and for the GameCube, Need for Speed Underground. This was sold as a package deal probably. So that was it for the flea market. Let's get to the stuff that came in through the mail. We're now halfway through the week and I had a big Super Nintendo set come in. So this is not even all, there's a lot more games. About the toys, I had a lot of feedback from you guys, which is amazing because I love that you guys give me feedback on what I do. And the general consensus was that the toys should be separated in a different video. So from now on, I won't show any more toys in the retro video game videos. I will make a separate retro toy video. And I did get in a lot of toys this week, so that will be a long video. Super Nintendo games. Star Wing, Mortal Kombat Part 2, Super Mario Kart, Super Soccer, Terminator 2, and there's a bit, this one is a bit strange, and I'm not sure if it's legit, because if you look at the label, it's a bit different, and if you look at the back, there's a sticker there that says assembled in Mexico. It looks a bit, yeah, how do you say? It doesn't look detailed enough, the label, especially the Terminator head. But yeah, who would make a fake version of Terminator 2? Because that game is pretty shitty, I believe. Then we have Winter Gold, Battletoads and Battle Maniacs, Secret of Mana, SimCity, and there's something special about this one as well. I'll let you take a look at it for a second. Yeah, the label is upside down. I've never seen this before with a Super Nintendo game, and the label doesn't have any damage to the edges, so it's not that someone pulled it off and put it back on upside down. So this is a genuine factory error, I think. Then Super Mario World, Clay Fighters, World Cup 94. This is Killer Instinct, Lion King, FIFA 96, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Tennis, Donkey Kong Country, Asterix, Pitfall the Mayan Adventure, Super Mario All-Stars, Maximum Carnage, Spider-Man, and Venom. I'm still looking for the second one, Separation Anxiety, for my own collection. Dirt Racer, Fun and Games, Warlock, Kickoff 3, that one top right is Striker, and this one is also Striker. Let's see what the difference is here. It does, oh, it says World Cup Striker. And you can also see that this one has the code 5W and this one has KA. So not the same game. And the last ones are Kawasaki and another Killer Instinct. This is the next lot of the Super Nintendo games, and there were also 2 Super Nintendo controllers, consoles with controllers, etc. But I'm not gonna bother showing you guys those because you know what those look like. Smurfs Around the World, FIFA Soccer, FIFA 98, F1 World Championship Edition, King of Monsters, Val d'Isère Championship, so that's probably skiing, Operation Starfish, which is James Pond 5, I think, because the S is a 5, Ultraman, WWF Raw with a damaged sticker, Syndicate, Winter Olympics, Aladdin, ISS International Superstar Soccer Deluxe, Mario's Missing, Road Riot, World League Basketball, and 2 Game Boy players. There were also some Game Boy games that came with the Game Boy player. And the strange thing is, I'm not sure if I told you this before, but the design of Double Dragon 2 on the Game Boy is the design of Double Dragon 3 on the NES. So that's a bit strange. Kirby's Dream Land, my favorite Game Boy game. Mega Man 1, Dr. Wily's Revenge, Ghostbusters 2 Japanese version, and Super Mario Land. Then next up is a big big Atari set, and what I said on Facebook is that this Atari set made me reconsider if I was gonna collect for Atari 2600. And that's because one of the games in there is really special. So this is the first part of the Atari 2600 set, and the good thing about Atari 2600 is that I don't know that much about it. And why is that a good thing? Because if I buy a set, I calculate its value and pay according to that value. But if it turns out that there was something in there that I didn't know was rare, it's added value that I didn't pay for. And that was the case with this set, and I'll show you in a bit why that was the case, because there appears to be a super rare game in here that I had no clue about. So these are all complete in box. There's one or two missing the manual, but most of them are 100% complete, and even complete with the inlays, etc. And a really cool thing about this is that, for instance, this Super Cobra inlay has Super Cobra printed on it. That's a nice little extra. So Super Cobra, Amidar, Combat, Demon Attack, Venture, Kangaroo, still sealed but the sealing has been opened to remove the game, Gorf, Super Mario Bros. Or Mario Bros, Carnival, Pitfall, Berserk, and Pole Position. Then the next pile. The second set brings us the first rare game in this lot. This is a standard joystick complete in box. Then we have Atlantis, River Raid, Centipede, Desert Falcon, Decathlon, and then we have Exoset, which is apparently a rare game. The cartridge is not that hard to find, but finding a complete in-box copy is apparently quite hard. Like I said, I'm not too big on Atari 2600, so I didn't know. Keystone Capers, Trick Shot, Joust, and the last one is Street Racer. The last set of complete in-box games, Phoenix, Basic Programming, Video Touchpad, which comes with an overlay, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Raiders, Open Sesame, which unfortunately has a missing top, Junior Pac-Man, and the keyboard controllers. And then we're off to the loose cartridges, and that's where the magic happens. Because buried under this pile of common junk we find two rare games. Enduro, Super Breakout, Jar's Revenge, Tennis, ooh, now it gets exciting, Circus Atari, Pac-Man, and these are the last two, and this is what it's all about. First we have X-Men, and X-Man, so not with an E like the cartoon heroes, X-Man is an adult video game cartridge which basically involves you jerking off and going after girls. It's a horrible game, of course, which pretty much all adult games are, but it's quite a rare one and also an obscure one. And then we have the king of this lot that I did not know about. It's Bumper Bash, and this is apparently a really rare game. Finding this in complete condition is near impossible. I could not find a complete copy or a sold listed copy. Why it's so rare? I believe it's was only released in Canada. So how it got here in the Netherlands, I don't know. But it got here. That's the most important thing. So this is a rare game. And that X-Men was the one that made me wonder, should I go for Atari? Because I love obscure games, but yeah, no, I have to draw a line somewhere. So that was the Atari set. It also came with a console, of course. Let me show you that one too. Because it wasn't the ugly one you normally get, the small 2600 Junior. No, it was the nice big Woody. Not a heavy sixer. I haven't had a heavy sixer ever, but light sixer. But still, it's a Woody, and the Woodies are a lot more popular than the 2600 Juniors. It's been a while since I had a Sega Dreamcast set, and the reason for me buying this set is one single game, which I'll show you later because that one ends up in my collection. These are two incomplete games, Dead or Alive and Sword of the Berserk God's Rage. Then we have Sonic Adventure 2, UEFA Striker with Ruud van Nistelrooy on the front and that guy on the right. It's not Sadov, I'm not sure who that is. Choo Choo Rocket and Zombie Revenge. Then the Dreamcast itself, but there's no AV cable and I don't have a spare one. So if anyone here watching this has a spare Dreamcast cable, let me know. I'm looking for one. Two controllers, one official with an unofficial memory card VMU. but this doesn't have the screen, it's just a bigger memory card, I think. And one unofficial Dreamcast controller, at least I think it's unofficial. Haven't checked it out, but I don't see any Sega branding, so this is probably a third-party one. So that was the Sega Dreamcast set minus one game, which I'll show you later. Let's wrap up the week. I was expecting this week to end slow, but the mail was pretty fast, so I got in some amazing stuff, and also had a local pickup on Sunday, last day of the week, which made this week a lot more interesting. But it was already an interesting week. So let's start with this Thrustmaster. Seriously, Thrustmaster. Is that a game for a name for a company that makes game stuff, or yeah? Think about that one, will you? So it was a GameCube screen, by the way. Then we have Gradius for the NES, Marvel Super Heroes PlayStation 1, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, Oddworld Apes Odyssey also for the PlayStation 1. Then a couple more PlayStation 1 games, Final Fantasy Part 9 and Part 7. The bad thing is these have French boxes, French manuals, so I'm expecting the games to be in French as well. Then two more, Little Big Adventure for the PlayStation 1 and Crash Bandicoot Part 2. Some small cartridges, Pokemon Fire Red, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64, this is a memory pack and an expansion pack, and one loose cartridge, best game on Nintendo 64. Only one of the really good games on Nintendo 64. I know you're gonna hate me for saying that. PC Big Box. Escape from Monkey Island, which is part 4. Then the Roberta Williams Anthology. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. And Mystical, which is a game I had never seen before. But it's a PC 3.5-inch floppy game for a couple euros, so not gonna pass on that. There was a the Conker's cartridge I showed before was a loose one I bought, and I also bought a Nintendo 64 set. Came with a couple of games. These are the first two, and then there's two more. This is Hydro Thunder, and this is one of the first games that I noticed that you can play without the expansion pack, but you need an expansion pack if you want to play with more players. Probably with a lot more games, but this is just the first time I noticed. V-Rally 99, Excite Bike 64, and this one is Perfect Dark. And I know that this one has some extra or better gameplay if you use the expansion pack, or better textures, or something along those lines. Then, a game that I got from a friend of mine, Super 68 in 1 for the Game Boy, but complete in box with the manual. I had seen it before, but not often. These are hard to find with the box, and this is one of those long card Game Boy color Game Boy games. And it has 68 games in it, and they're all complete games, so not just partial games, which most of the multi-cartridges on NES have. Then I have something special that I have never had before, and I'm guessing that most of you have never seen it before. It's not something, in my opinion, super special, because it's just a reissue of something with a special box. Let's make some room for it. But it is strange. It's the Killer Instinct F-Zero Big Value Twin Pack. So basically this is just two SNES boxes melted into one, with some different sides, because the side shows F-Zero Killer Instinct. Has two inlays, so not one big inlay, and this one is in quite bad shape. The little flaps on the end, or the little tabs, are pretty much all damaged or missing. But it's quite a rare thing to find, so that's why I picked it up. Let's go. Oh wait, the Nintendo 64 that I showed the games for. It also came with a console, complete in box, and I expected this to be a clear blue version, but it's an ice blue version, so that's a nice extra, because ice blue is a bit more rare, or a lot more rare than the clear blue version. Too bad there's no inlay, but those are interchangeable between all console sets. Then on Sunday I went to do a local pickup, and that was a Sega related pickup. First part of that pickup was this baby, Sega Mega Drive 2, complete in box, in great shape except for this missing of this dent here in the A where it really went through the box, so that's a bit sad. But for the rest it's in a really good, complete working condition. The games that came with the Sega, some were for the Sega itself and others were for the Game Gear that he didn't have anymore, but he did have the games. Too bad all of these, except for one, are without the manual. He kept them separate and they got lost. So this is Mega Games 2, Street Fighter 2, Air Diver, Shakan, which is sad that it's a Genesis version because I still want the Mega Drive version for my collection, Mortal Kombat, and Dungeons & Dragons Warriors of the Eternal Sun. Then for the Game Gear, Dragon Crystal, Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap, Double Dragon, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Mortal Kombat. These are two Japanese Game Gear games. This is Ninja Gaiden and Aerial Assault. Then we have Super Monaco GP, Terminator 2 the arcade game, George Foreman's KO Boxing, Shinobi 2 the Silent Fury. This one was complete, Asterix and the Secret Mission, and that's lucky because this one is probably the rarest in the set, and Terminator, also for the Game Gear. That was it for this week, except for the games that I picked up that I'm keeping for my collection. And there's one that I've been looking for a long time, which brought me one step closer to completing an entire set, or at least for me. Not all the games in the set, but all the games that are worth getting. This pile of 4 games starts with Pokemon Colosseum. I picked this one up a couple of weeks ago, and that was the version with the memory card, but without the memory card. And some of you replied, hey, you don't have the Pokemon box. And that's because that version is not with the Pokemon box. This one is. So that's Pokemon Colosseum. Then for the Sega Mega CD, Prince of Persia. And here you see the last two, which are the most important for me this week. Skies of Arcadia, the original on the Dreamcast. I did already have the Skies of Arcadia Legends on the GameCube, but not the Dreamcast version. And Dragon Force for the Saturn. I've been after this game for a long time, and it's always a little too expensive. The usual selling price for this one is about 100 euros plus shipping, and it always sells for that. And I got this one at, I believe, 80 euros plus shipping. So it wasn't a huge deal, but it's one of those games that are near impossible to find cheap. And I just wanted to have it because it was the last RPG I needed for the Saturn. I believe I still need Darius Part 2, which is not that rare of a game. And Frankenstein Through the Eyes of the Monster, which is a rare game, but it's not a bare necessity for me to have for the Saturn. So that was it for this week. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, check out my other videos, like me on facebook.com/drretromd, and hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.